Welcome to our talk about building trust in AI agents. What we are actually talking today, we had some of the fears and what's going on, and everybody knows that AI is coming. Everybody's thinking about all the changes it's going to bring with it. What we want to talk about is basically two very old problems that still exist in the AI age that we have. How do we communicate and how do we know what is true? So basically communication and oracle problem and how they fit into this new world of AI and agents. And how do we make this world better and safe? There you go.
Henri is always telling me that the future is nice and it's bright. But as a tester, I hardly believe. I wanted to see it with my own eyes. So that's why we went deep, and we want to share with you what we think about the trustworthy AI agents. But before that,
just a little bit about us. I've got one of the sponsors of the event as well. Just wanted to say that we're here, and we are both from the same company. I used to work at a lot of different companies. Szilárd has been here for a long time, and that's why I think we get this nice perspective of having me talking a lot about the AI and Szilárd having the very deep expertise about testing as well. And as we go to the next slide, you can see a lot of the expertise that Szilárd has around the testing space. So there's a lot of experience here, and a couple of new awards as well. So it's very great to be here with Szilárd talking about this as well. Nice that he pulled me into this conference as well. So nice to see you all.
And you know, we've been working together for just a few years with Henri, but actually I know him for 15 years when he was still dealing with model-based testing, right? At that time, that was hype. He's been working for AI companies, Sensible 4 as well, a self-driving car company. He drove it to bankruptcy. Yeah. But I still love the guy. But okay, we are not here for that. We are here for
We're here to talk about the change in AI. That you've probably seen a lot of these statements that say that, hey, AI will change everything, everything's suddenly going to be different, and there will be greater change in the next 5 years than in the last 40 years. This is just Martin Woodward from J-Hub, but you have these statements from pretty much everybody, from Google, from Microsoft, from all the other people. But we're also going to speak here a little bit about the fact that I don't think the change is going to be that profound. It's still going to be the same stuff happening, but just with maybe an accelerated pace. And how do we control that pace of change is going to be with the same techniques that we've been doing previously as well. And if you look at the field, what's happening? You have some of the numbers. There is the opportunity. Everybody's saying that, yeah, we are getting performance gains from AI. We are getting performance gains from building the next level of automation, because AI is kind of like soft automation in a sense. You can bend the rules a little bit. And you also have faster releases by this. But there's also a lot of caveats in this. For example, I think the best example was a paper that came out a couple of months ago from Microsoft saying that the best AI agent that improved productivity was an automated chatbot that went to poke people who had an open pull request. And that's the AI efficiency, going to poke people who have open pull requests. So it's not all very fancy stuff, it can be really basic. And this comes to the reality side that we have. This AI transformation isn't happening overnight, because pretty much any organization, you've done test automation, you know that many organizations are not even ready for test automation. How can we be ready for AI? So that's one of the main things and factors slowing down AI adoption. And also, many companies are also saying that it's very difficult to integrate AI into any of our workflows because we are not really ready. We don't even know how our workflows work. So how do we do this? And this is the kind of talk that we want to give you, not about AI models, but about how to build all the stuff around it. How do you actually help in integrating that AI or even automation into your company?
So let's start with something simple. This is how we maybe oversimplify AI agents. There's an input, there's magic, and there's output. But we have some problem here. We have the communication problem. How to tell the AI what we need, what we want it to do, right? And then there's the oracle problem, which we know as testers, the correctness problem. How do we know it's correct? Now, if we go a little bit deeper, this is what we will talk about. Key elements of agentic development is to solve the communication problem, because you can't not communicate. As Rob Lambert is saying, communication is done by the listener. Rob, where are you? As he's saying, communication is done by the listener. Communication is done by the AI agent. are we able to communicate properly to the agent what we want? Can we provide enough context? Can we provide the prompt? Can we tell what's the task? Can we tell what to do with the input we give to it? And then, on the other hand, we have the agentic design that we expect to help in the correctness. Designing the AI agent and its elements so the result is as correct as we can, as we expect, as we hope. And we need the AI orchestration on top of that. So let's move a little bit deeper into that one.
Yep.
But tell me a little bit about LLMs, because you know AI a lot.
Yeah. So what I want to outline about LLMs here is that everybody's talking about now, they're thinking, they are hallucinating, they are doing this and that. They are not. They are glorified cell phone text predictors. The only thing that they're doing is pretty much predicting the next word. It's magic, it works. It works really well and produces human-like output very well. But to understand all the problems and hallucinations and all of that we have, you have to realize that it's just a very big matrix calculation providing you with a probability of different things. And there's also a little bit of randomness put in so that you get human-like output. We've noticed that if you just do stochastic, you just calculate the matrices and you always get the same answer, it's not really human-like. So we kind of sprinkle in a little bit of randomness to get the human output from that. And that's basically what LLMs are. And on the other side of that, how these work, and I think this is also one of the core concepts. We're not going to go into math, we're not going to go deeper into that. I think this is the most difficult slide that we have, kinda. That what AIs do and LLMs do, and we have to understand what they do at the core so that we can build a system around it, is when you hear about ChatGPT talking about a model which has 380 billion parameters, what they are kind of doing, and I'm now lying to you, so I'm simplifying and lying to you, that they have 380 billion categories. They have living beings, felines, human, gender, these categories, 380 billion of these categories. And that makes them more and more complex. It can understand more concepts, and that's the kind of amount that they're doing. And basically, they're turning every single word into a prediction on does it fit into any of these categories. And when you do this, you get a space where concepts which are close to each other are close to each other. Well, cats and kittens are very close to each other. But what's the kind of like very interesting thing about this and what makes the magic work is that this is actually transferable, that you can do math with it, that, hey, you can take where the man object is in this space. You can take a vector that puts it into a woman. You can take the same vector and put it into the king, and you probably end up in the concept of a queen. And this feature of AI pretty much enables you to do all of this magic, enables you to do all the predictions, and enables AI to predict, not understand, predict different concepts which are very close to human understanding as well. And this also is a big difference between humans and AI. If I give you this as a prompt to you guys, you all think of a pink elephant. You cannot stop about thinking a pink elephant. And the same thing applies to AI as well. So this is also one of the reasons why negative prompting in security and testing doesn't work. You cannot just say to the AI, hey, don't think of a pink elephant. Because you have to understand the concept of a pink elephant. Okay, I cannot think of that. Damn, I already thought about that. Now I have to go back, what's going on? So telling AI not to do something doesn't work. And this is a big thing when you talk about hallucinations, give me right answers only. Like how people typically approach, the first thing that you do to AI is you say, hey, don't lie to me, give me proper answers. It doesn't really work, because when you think about how it works. And this is what we see in the market a lot. People are saying that, hey, can we just test out the hallucinations? Can we just build a system that doesn't hallucinate? But now if you go back the 3 slides that I talked to you, it's not a bug, it's a feature of the system, because it's only probabilities. And if the system is hallucinating, it's about your data, it's about what you have taught it, and what it understands about the world. And this is I think one of the major things, that the base data on what we use to train AI models is actually affecting the outcome a lot. And now we see a lot of problems, and that's and how do you integrate that kind of a system into your working AI, just IT systems, which constantly keeps changing and understands the world in a certain way. How do we handle that? And how do we build that? It's going to be a big thing. Not about developing better models, but how to do the integration and security and trust around it.
You make me really 30. So back in the beginning of the year, I've been challenged and asked, like, have you heard about the wine glass challenge? Like the AI is not able to generate the picture of a full glass of wine. Of course I tried, and it didn't. You know, I'm Hungarian. This is not even a half full glass of wine. This is a half empty glass of wine. But AI said, yes, here is your picture of a full glass of wine. It even broke the physics, the law of physics, to create me a video of how you pour wine into the glass and it gets full. Why is this? Because the LLM does not know about the concept of a full glass of wine, because a glass of wine, in all the training data, looked always as a proper glass of wine, right? Never like full. But LLMs are improving continuously. They are getting better, and they now understand the concepts of liquid, the concept of container, so now LLM can generate a full glass of wine. How good is that?
But then, when you think about it, you have a system which undergoes such rapid change constantly. And you have a piece of software that's constantly changing that we want to integrate into your workflow and somehow make that stable and understandable and trustworthy. How do you do that? And you have to build a lot of systems around it. It's exactly the same thing that how do you build systems to control what humans do? How do you control a big organization? How do you figure out if humans are doing the right thing? You build a system around it. You build automation around it. You codify the best practices and culture into your systems around people or around AI. So that's why I am also thinking that testing and all that around it will be one of the core assets going into the future in the whole of AI revolution, because coding will change. But validation and all these other layers, all the processes around it, won't be changing, because we still have to integrate into human systems that we have built. Maybe, let's say, in 50 years, that it won't be us, but it's something different.
So let's see how we build, actually, what are the building blocks of trustworthy AI agent, especially when we build them into our software development lifecycle. So if I want to build trust in AI agent, then I start to make things a little bit difficult, right? This is kind of the architecture we are building. Again, this is a simplified view, but I wanted to walk through a bit. So first of all, you need to select the right LLM, the right language model, foundation model that is supporting your needs. You can check the model cards. You can even compare how the different LLMs behave in Amazon Bedrock or Azure Foundry on different systems to see how they behave next to each other. What is the input? What's the prompt? On the other hand, you want to have proper techniques helping or actually communicating to the agent, as we said, the intention. Prompt engineering and now context engineering is the key to have a proper system prompt, and also for those who use the agent, maybe it's an assistant, so then it's a simple prompt, or if we are talking about Copilot, then really this is like how we interact with the system. So the prompt is extremely important to understand and you know, to give the context. Now, we can also update the LLM and fine-tune with extra knowledge, but typically that's very expensive. That's not what we want to do. So what we do instead, we use retrieval augmented generation, RAG, to provide semantic search to knowledge. So the LLM now talks your knowledge, your terminology, your language, your documents. It uses your knowledge base of the company to answer and to be more correct. We use memory that the agent can improve, and in between sessions, it is like storing information about you, about what it did, about what you thought, was it correct or not. So based on the feedback, it updates the memory. But memory could also be a risk factor, because maybe you actually don't want the agent to remember what it did before, because that was a different feature, a different functionality, a different conversation. If you check your assistant, go to the settings and check what is the memory, what the system knows about you, and delete some if you don't want that to be there. Now, additionally, we work with guardrails to make sure that with the sanitize input to filter out harmful input, and also maybe in output to filter out things. For example, in some cases, you don't want the LLM to get personal identification information, right? PII. You want GDPR compliant conversation. You don't want personal data to go. So with the guardrail, we can filter that out. This is also building correctness into our AI system. And then last but not least, we add tools. MCP server, model context protocol, so the agent is able to do something, interact with the environment, see what happens, sense its environment, and decide what to do next, or learn, update itself. Now, how do we learn? How the agent learns? And where testing comes in, right? Still, if we want to build trust into our system, we want trustworthy agent, we need to continuously evaluate the output. And based on the evaluation, we might update the memory, we might update our guardrails, we might update our prompt, we might upgrade the whole system, the knowledge base, the vector database, everything. Evaluation could be done by LLMs, it could be done by human in the loop, but I say we have our DevOps pipeline. We have all our tests there already. This is how we test each other's work, because you don't really trust your coworker, right? You review, you test. So we do the same with the agents. So evaluation can use the whole pipeline as well.
Yeah. And basically, what we've been talking about here is, you've probably seen this same kind of how do you add governance, how do you add security, and how do you basically add trust into any corporation. This is exactly the same thing. Nothing's really changed in this. And I think that's why there's a lot of hope in this, and I think the future is very bright, because we know how to build all of these systems. We know how to build governance systems for humans. So we know how to build governance systems for AI as well, because the same rules apply. Maybe the little bit of a difference is that we have a data layer and an AI layer, and maybe some abstraction layers in there. But basically, the AI layer being what we talked about here, building all of those systems around it, having a certain LLM, how do we update that system? This then accesses some data based on access control. Actually, I think this is one of the critical things that when you think about it, I've now seen a couple of AI projects where people are like, hey, let's just plug in AI to our SharePoint. What could go wrong? And I think everybody knows that if you just go into any big company SharePoint and take every single bit of data that there is, most of it is old, some of it is totally wrong, and then access levels are a mess. So again, first, before you do any kind of data layer integration, please review a lot of the data that you have in there, because we found some very, let's say, interesting, for example, board emails or something that might leak because people just didn't realize that you have to maybe put them into a safe place. It just is not enough that it's 20 folders deep and hidden. That doesn't work in the age of AI anymore. It has to be tagged right. The same kind of now building visibility into what's actually happening, having all the logs. We are now seeing this happening with Microsoft and AWS and all of these building solutions that you can see who has prompted what's going on in all of these systems. And this, again, increases the level of trust that we have in these systems. And I think that's also a very good thing when you think about, everybody's always complaining that the EU and everybody, we are losing because we have so much governance, we have so much rules. But I think in the long run, it might actually be a competitive advantage, because we have such a good rules base. We can use AI to generate processes that go through all of those laws and use that as a very good advantage for us, because we have all the systems. They already go through all the laws and build these kind of systems that are secure, governed, and that we can trust. And I think that's at the core of what we also pretty much want to say, that it's not that much about the AI, it's about how we build the systems around it.
And just a couple of days ago, we had a big discussion at the company about actually using MCP and tools, and the lack of security in MCP, when you might just, by mistake, give all access to everything through a tool to an agent. And now they can use your card, they can use whatever in the system. For example, if I'm in telecom mainly, they can just switch off the infrastructure under you, right? That's exactly what you want. Your mobile internet is just gone because an agent decided that's the right thing to do. So be careful, make sure authorization, authentication is there. But let's summarize. We talked about how to build trust in AI agents and what are the elements of designing this. We did not really talk about how to, decide where to apply agent. That might be the next talk, maybe later. But we talked about the communication problem and the Oracle problem to simplify the things. And you see, there's the model in the middle. You have to select the right model. And then to provide proper communication, to provide what you want, you have the context engineering in place. You work with the memory. You need to understand the risks of memory. You need to understand how to create proper prompts. And you need to know how to create a proper guardrail, when to use it, how to use it. And on the Oracle side, what the foundation model knows, maybe you need to fine-tune it, but you can also add the knowledge through RAG, and then you need to have the feedback loop, the feedback cycle, the evaluation, and you have to update your model continuously and iteratively. And of course, an orchestration layer helps in there. So if you tell you all these goodies, what stops us to go on with AI?
And I think that's one of the things that's very happening is that we can technically do what we have in the previous slide, no problem. And we've built those kind of systems that we had. Just replace the AI box in the middle with a human. We've built multiples of those systems in many places, in banks, in a lot of controlled places. But what's really like now stopping and where we are stopping in this evolution is pretty much in many of the fears that we have. I think everybody us here has talked about the job displacement fear. I'm afraid that AI will take my job. But as Szilárd says that I think the future is bright. I still think so, because I think AI will empower a lot of us. And every single job where AI can empower you is something that will make sure that you still have a job and you will have a good future in that. Some jobs can be automated, yes. But any job that you can think of that I can get empowerment from AI, it will be a thing in the future. It's the same, jobs will change. We are really good at inventing stuff to do. Ask Napoleon what that Twitch streamer does for a job. You won't get a job. So that's why I'm also excited. I want to see what's happening in 100 years. The second being security and compliance. Can we trust AI in development? And we use the same processes as before. We can trust AI. We just have to build the process around it so that we have traceability. The same as stuff that, can you trust me? I'm lying to you constantly. I'm hallucinating constantly on this stage. So can you trust me? You have to be the judge of that. And in the same way, evaluate the AI agents as well. But you can have systems to better evaluate me as well. I might have gone through a school or something, and that's a kind of an evaluation. What I think is also core, ownership and control. Who owns the AI infrastructure? Is it you? Is it your company? Is it some bigger multinational company? Because they basically then own the process. They own the controls. So really carefully think who owns that. You're already giving probably your data out. So what's going to happen in the AI age? You might actually give your process out now. So what do you have after that? What is a company if you have no data and you have no process? So think about that. I think this is a really core issue that we want to do and really solve and keep that for ourselves, because that's what companies are. There are people working on some common task. And we're going to achieve good things through that. And we will have, the question is, can AI produce high quality? Well, yes, in the same way as humans can. We build test automation and build around that, and we will get good quality code. Not the best, because we don't typically want the best. We want quality. Good enough. So that's why I think that actually the future is very bright for testers and everybody, the test automation, validation, and the whole this space that we are now. 40 seconds? And that's why what I think is that now I lost all my words for the gong. The gong just came in and crashed the whole AI market. Here we go. Yeah, that's why I think the future is going to be bright. Thank you for listening to the two of us. Hopefully this gave you a lot of good answers and a lot of good questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. I have to be honest, this gong is supposed to make you forget your thought, because that's the time when I'm so sorry. It's like a very cruel thing from us, because we really need to go on with the questions. But that was so amazing, okay? But so, data poisoning, how can you prevent that? I knew every single word in these questions. Thank you.
That's yours.
Please
lie, hallucinate, be correct.
How do you prevent data poisoning? I think it's much about the scale. What do you consider as data poisoning when you do AI development? On a large scale, you're probably going to use some big AI models. They're going to come from Europe, America, China. They're going to have some kind of data bias always. So in the region that you want to test, you have to do very focused analytics and questions around that. Do a test set around that to figure out if there is some kind of data poisoning going on. And probably using another LLM or even 3 LLMs typically as a kind of a triad. If 2 agree, then typically they might be right on that one. So building these kind of, again, like democratic or decision-making systems from multiple AIs will help you solve poisoning in one AI.
Nice, thank you very much. Okay, how to ensure reliable outputs from probabilistic LLMs that get confused and self-contradict when asked questions, like, is there a seahorse emoji?
Yeah, this seahorse emoji thing has been going around, I think, for the last month. Many LLMs get confused that is there actually this? And this is also much about ChatGPT's architecture as well, because what they are actually doing is they are looping multiple questions to the LLM, which then lead into these feedback cycles that are in there. And this is a problem on the system design level. When do you decide that the answer is good enough? And at some point, you cannot. In the same way, you can get humans into analysis paralysis pretty well and never get anything else until a manager comes and says, hey, okay, stop it, let's just build something. And in the same way, you have to address this on the control layer and not on the individual model layer. The models will have bias, I have biases, you have biases, every single one of us is biased. So that has to be done at the system level.
Okay, I see you're digesting the questions as well. If the current rules and governance can mean advantage in the long run, in the current fast advance can be there an insurmountable gap later. Is that a word? And that's not even like I should be knowing that word. Why are you doing this on purpose? Okay, can you please answer?
Well, it seems I need to. Look, okay. I think I'm scared, as I said in the beginning. I'm scared of losing jobs, not because of AI, but because of CEOs rushing ahead and deciding that we don't need humans anymore, AI will be good already now, and pushing hard. I really believe, and it's my word only, I really believe that there will be the AI bursts and the high bursts as well a bit, and then we will slow down, look again into the governance, think a little bit again. But a few years ago, workflow automation, tools like robotic process automation took our job. Before that, it was test automation taking our job and also making everything chaotic, because now they do things alone. So I believe we will survive, but yeah, we will need to hit some walls, stop, think, and fix. And maybe learn. Learning is good, right?
Okay, a little bit more than 1 minute left. Might there be a tendency for consultants and big vendors to exaggerate productivity gains because that is what company leaders want to hear?
Yes.
Thank you.
But also, I think there's another side to this as well. You see these numbers like 40%, 50%, and all of that. I think those numbers are too small. This is just an anecdote from one project that we did. We had one client. They wanted to automate creating a legal document. Typically, they make 300 of these documents a year. It takes them 3 weeks a document. We automated that so that they get 90% done in 1 day, and then one person can finish it in 1 day. So we brought it down from 2 to 3 weeks to 1 day. So that's what, 200%, 1,000%? So actually, I think in some cases, these numbers are too small.
Excellent. Szilárd, Henri, thank you so very much. Big applause for the both of them, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.